Right, I've literally got approximately 30 minutes. Could be less, could be more. I'm just going to fire off. I don't give a fuck who's here listening now because somebody will be here listening later. Hopefully, my audio is right. I'm not able to see if my avatar is moving. Let me check. Fucking way. My time is very precious these days. Let's try that. Boom, boom, boom. Yes, I can see it moving. Anyway, Amy, you stupid, desperate. I knew you were stupid. And I had an idea that there was alcohol involved. And maybe Xanax, something like that. Little bit of a mix. You fucking idiot. You absolute, desperate, stupid, histrionic bitch. The screenshots you're talking about, I remembered it well. Let me set the scene so that we understand what was going on. All my responses to you go the same way. They follow the same theme, that you can only text with a man who's shitting in the toilet. Not now because he's dumped his missus, but at that point. That you would never be able to have phone calls from him, and you would never, to him, you could never make a call to him, that you had to wait for secret moments when he was shitting in the toilet, how you would never go on a lunch date and all of those things. That has been my continual response to you. In all of my responses, it has followed that thread. So let's go to that particular day. I'm riding my bike and I'm listening on a stream to James D. Now, I've just bought open earbuds. Now, unbeknown to me, I now know. Now, open earbuds, they allow you to hear the music that you're listening to or whatever you're listening to. But they also allow the outside noise, ambience noise, traffic, car beeping, people shouting. This is so that as you're riding your bike, you are aware of the dangers around you, okay? So when I'm riding into the wind and I jump on James D's stream, which was very unusual because as I set up my playlist, which I'm going to ride with, I see James D is live. So I click on there and I notice that right there is the link. Now I know I can't chat because I'm on a bike. I am about to embark on a bike ride. And when I finish my bike ride, I'm meeting somebody to pick something up, but we're also going to go to lunch. And he too was on a bike. Sometimes it's a car. In this instance, it was a bike. So I jump on James D's stream and I start pedaling. And James says, your noise, your sound in there is bad. Can you stop? So I said, hang on, I'll have to find a sheltered, secluded spot and pull over. So I pull my bike over and I show on cam that I am outdoors on a bike, and that is the noise you can hear. So there's a fact here. I'm on a bike. I have stated that I am about to ride my bike and I can only stop for long. Now, had I been able to pedal and speak to James, I would have been happy to do that. James was not happy with the level of noise. I like to do a certain amount of activity every day. It's been my New Year's resolution now since 2024, maybe I started up I'm always going to do this many steps. I think it was even before that, maybe 2023. Now I'm incorporating bike rides. So, reason I'm speaking so fast is I know that my time is about to be interrupted and I've got to get fucking food on and pronto. So I jump on James D's live and I speak for 10 minutes. And I say, look, James, I am. James said, look, we've had our back and forth, and I shouldn't have called you man face. And I said, hey, don't worry. I was the one out of order because I took Doug's side. I took Doug at face value, and I poked my nose in, and I got involved, and I never should have. I now know Doug to be a liar. That's how it was left. So I said, right, I'm off now. I'll be listening. Now, I actually can't listen because as I'm going, I can't get a signal. Now the fucking signal's gone. I maybe listen to another minute of it and I'm out of signal. I'm in the countryside and there is no signal. The signal that is there is in and out. So I make a video and I'm just going up the road, making a video, filming the scenery. So when I get home and I go back to James D's stream, no, I don't even think I got, no, I think I actually had a look at lunch at the chat. I think I actually went to see what had been going on and if he was still streaming. Now, at that point, I see the chat and I realise that while I'm on stream, Amy Eureka is in there, gobbing off. Now, nowhere in there does Amy Eureka mention his son, which now isn't relevant because we now know what she's on about. So she's in there talking the big one. And James D actually pulls her and says, you're all mouth. Why don't you jump on the panel? And indeed, it's a good question. Why didn't you, Amy? Why were you in chat? Now, at the point I'm talking to James D and you're gobbing off that I don't know, I'm not looking at the chat. I'm looking around who's listening to me. If there are people around listening to me talking shit to James and laughing like a fucking drain, I am not looking at the chat. Besides that, I've got a pair of sunglasses on. The sun is fucking blazing and I can barely fucking see. I ain't got my readers on, which is constant with me. You'll hear me say I got to go and get my super duper glasses. So I ain't looking at no chat. But I noticed that James tells you, why don't you jump up and tell her? Which is a question, Amy. Why didn't you? You've been desperate for this confrontation. You claim that you were refused a confrontation previously when it was a total mistake. I thought we were on about another Amy. It was only when it went on a bit, I thought, oh, she's on about that fucking Amy. I thought it was Amy that you actually had a fucking problem with. So another one of Tiffany's bunch, because all these nuts seem to come around from Tiffany. So then I now see all this and I think, what the fuck? But when I rewind the stream, there's Laugh on there talking a good fight. And I'm going to post that in the next hour or so if I get time to cut the fucking that piece of stream down, because I got the fucking lock because I wanted that chat. Now, so there's one instance where you had an opportunity, Amy, because you were in chat. James actually addresses you and says, it looks like you're a coward. At least she'll jump on the panel. Why ain't you on yet? Question is, why weren't you, Amy? Why did you have to wait for Yaks? Now, there were people in chat making fun of you. One of those people was Lisa Lake. They were saying, look at you. You went and got Laugh at you. You fucking coward. So I now make a post. Now, I finished my bike ride and I take a photo of me. It might have even been a video. I will have to go and look. But I take a photo, I think it's a video, of me with Jake. Jake, yes, that's his name. That's factual. The only name that was altered was Donald Trump, somebody who I speak to regularly. Because I speak to that person regularly and I wanted to make a point, I altered that name to Donald Trump. Now, yes, there were Jake, because that's reality. Now, if it was Ebenezer or something really rare, I could understand why somebody not of sound mind might make that connection. But you've got to be pretty fucking high as balls to be so assuming or desperate. So I make a little video I'm pretty sure of it. And it's me meeting Jake. We're on the bikes. And then I say, I'm going to lunch, something you can never do. Now, there are screenshots posted in a separate post of me saying, see you for lunch, or some such shit. Now, that is sheer coincidence that the two people I have most to do with, one I altered as the name Donald Trump to say, oh, look, I speak to Donald Trump every day, several times a day. Okay? And the second one is a real Jake. And I have a fucking third Jake. Because, it would only be the two, because the first one's not fucking Jake, but that's not been altered to Donald Trump. The second most person I speak to is Jake. Now, that might offend you, and that's sad, but that's a fact. That's the second person. Now, there's another Jake that I could speak to, who's my nephew. He is the son of my brother. And I believe, but I'm not 100% sure, that he's called his son Jake. He's only just had him, so I'm not 100% on that. But I'm pretty sure I heard through the family grapevine, which I'm very disjointed from, so it takes a long time to come to me, that he has called his son Jake. So, I don't know. Anyway, you desperate, stupid fucking bitch. I stand by it. Everything I've said. Quick rundown of the timeline. I'm speaking to laugh at you, and these are the truth. This will always be the truth. This will always be the facts. It will not change because it is the truth. I do not have to think about it. I do not have time to go fucking her. I was speaking to laugh at you for over 3 years. On the last year, we were speaking daily. We were sharing our children, his daughter, my daughter. We were sharing information about our lives. We were talking almost on a daily basis, okay? He was my number one mod. Now, it all makes sense to me. So, I'm also friends with Yaxley. But Yaxley, as always, says, he's always away. He goes away in March and he doesn't appear until about October, when the fucking flying and the caravanning and all of that stuff. That is Yaxley's pattern. It has always been Yaxley's pattern. Now, Amy was on my post commenting. Now, I now know she was being nice to me to get close to laugh at you, I'm guessing. Okay? Guessing. Because she says she's known me years and she's never liked me. But here you are, only a year before, yapping in my comments. Nice removing them, Amy. Sadly for you, I never delete YouTube comments from my Gmails. I keep them just for these occasions so that I can go back to, even if the person removes the comment, I have the fucking comment. So, laugh at you and me are friends, there's no problem. Suddenly, Yaxley comes back and laugh at you starts talking about this woman, beginning with R, which was quite a shock to me because I was like, what the fuck? And he starts ranting and raving how he hates Yaxley and he's going to do this and that to Yaxley. Under the influence, I'll tell you why another time, because I'm really on short time. So sorry, you took my mind away. I've got to stop reading the fucking comments. Right. So Yaxley returns. Now, it's about that time that Laugh at You starts mentioning Renee privately to me and saying, I'm going to wreck Yaxley. I tried to make Peacemaker, thinking that the argument is to do with Nixie, because Yaxley is friend with Nixie, and Nixie handed Laugh at You his ass, and he was ending up raging at a female online, and he looked fucking stupid. So I assumed it was that, because why wouldn't I? So now suddenly he's mentioning Renee. Sorry. Suddenly he's mentioning sorry. I'm usually pretty on the ball. It won't happen again though. Suddenly he's mentioning Now he then gets very argumentative and he starts becoming passive aggressive. He's also kind of trying to turn me against Yaxley. But I'm standing in the middle and I'm trying to, look, and trying to keep peace between the two. I don't think I even told Yaxley at that point, listen, laugh at yous, this, because I don't need to go running to someone. I think when he came back, it came up, but I don't think I specifically went to tell him. So there's an argument that Lafferty goes out of his way to cause. That argument is recorded. It is a voice note. I have the voice note. It is totally disjointed and it is desperate, and he is very clear that he wants a fight. I then totally ignore him. He doesn't exist. I ghost family members for less. I haven't, listen, I'm 1 of 10. There's 2 dead, okay, and there's 8 living. Now, I used to speak up until a year ago to one of them. I have not spoken to any of them since my mother was put into the ground in 2016. My mother used to have 2 Christmases to keep us apart because there would be 3 not speaking to 5, and we were physical fucking brawlers when we started. There was no filter with us because we were family and we fought hard. So they was in bits. It was a point where when my father died the year before, my mother nearly paid for bouncers, doormen for the fucking funeral. I'm not joking. She wanted to pay for fucking bouncers because she was so scared which couple would start fighting, which boy would start fighting with the other one, or which girl would say. She knew. So I ghost people very easy. You're dead. I have daily fucking funerals for them in my mind. Gone, kaput, forgotten. And that's what I did with Laugh. But now Laugh starts making post after post, all about Now at the same period of time, Lisa Lake says to me, please, can you stop mentioning Every time you do it, there is somebody ripping your videos and they're using it to harass her. And I said, no problem. Honestly. And I went to Yaxley and I said, listen, Yaxley, I know they're poking at you and I know they're using her. And Yaxley said, listen, do you want to see the messages from Amy Eureka about her to me? So I said, you got messages with her? Yeah, give them here. Let me see. I know all your conversations with Yaxley, Amy. Anyway, and I know all what you said about So I then just, now he keeps going. Lafferty keeps going. Now there comes, and he's all, I'm gonna wreck Yaxley. Just he wait, and he's been telling me and Glenn for months, I'm gonna wreck him when he comes back. Now, if I suddenly bolt off, it's because the person haven't given me the heads up that they're like 10 minutes away. So if I jump up and bolt, I haven't got time. It'll have to wait. So now Penny tries to dox me, but she doxes me at an address that I wasn't in since, I think, 2013, maybe 2014. I can't even remember. So Laugh shares that. Now Glenn points out, you're trying to dox Tracy. Now Glenn then goes to Laugh, but what Laugh doesn't know is I'm streaming it unlisted, confrontation. Glenn has to beg Laugh and says, get up there. You've been making these fucking posts. You're trying to dox Tracy. You've been all on the talk about Yaxley. Get the fuck on there now and front him up. And Glenn was saying, oh, and Laugh was saying, oh, yeah, I want to do it about political in my own time. It's about Trump. No, get up there. It's not about Trump. It's about, let's not play. That's what you're saying. Now, we start talking behind the scenes. Me, Glenn, Yaxley. And Glenn suddenly says, Amy, a couple of months ago, asked me for Laugh's email. And I said, when was that? Now, when Glenn goes back and looks at, when then Glenn goes back and looks, it coincides exactly with Laugh at You starting to be passive aggressive, starting to talk shit about Yaxley, to try and turn everyone against Yaxley, and it all became apparent. So, on all of that, now remember, Amy was speaking on my posts. Now, when I then go over to Amy Eureka's posts, she's like a lovesick teenager, and Glenn says, that's Laugh at You's picture there, avatar. Glenn screenshots it. She's saying love songs and putting all these love songs and stupid comments, but that wasn't how her channel was. So now we start to get it. It's something to do with, it's something to do with this one. And then Glenn says, she contacted me and asked me for Laugh's email. And when I said, when was that? It all fitted in place. So this is what I think happened, and then I'm going to go. I think Amy, who has a history of online relationships, both Cosette and other people here have said that there have been plural men that she has fucked about with online, okay? Her friend Cosette said about referenced online lovers before Laugh. So what I'm guessing is this. She targets Laugh. Now, when I spoke to Laugh, this is on my children's life, my dog's life, my new grandbaby's life, my other grandchildren, anyone I give a fuck about, and Jake. When Laugh, I always spoke to him, and he was always, oh, my daughter's doing this, and me and my wife were going here, and we're doing this, and we're doing that, and we're doing that. He never said a bad word about his wife. All of his talk was positive. He came over as a very happily married man and a very family-orientated man. He was absolutely devoted to his child, and that goes a long way with me. Those are the little things that tell me who a person is. So, who they really are. And this is one of the things I like about James, the going to work, the playing hard, but not forgetting his responsibilities, children, work. I like that shit. There are some cunts who do that and don't remember the other bits. I think what happened is this. You see, and then Laugh one day called me, and he was so fucking angry. And he said, and in between it, he said, my wife said, she's a cunt. We were talking about his wife. And he said, she's a cunt. And I was taken aback. Number one, Laugh had never sworn in front of me before. And if he had, he'd say, excuse me, ma'am, sorry, ma'am. He always said sorry before he said anything foul. He was a proper gentleman, proper class, also, I thought. And he would say something, but he called her a cunt. And I actually said to Glenn, listen, we got to get Seabass off his back. He's turning. He's called his wife a cunt. He's never spoken like that at all before, because I assumed that Seabass was putting him under pressure. But now, having all the pieces, this is what I think. I think Amy Eureka reached out to Glenn to get Laugh's email. I think they got talking, and once she got a certain amount comfortable, I think she started to tell him the story of Renee. Fucking hell! Sorry. Oh, God, sorry. I think she started to tell him the story of her. And I think, a bit like a Katie kind of thing, in the ears. And I think I think actually, Glenn Laugh probably said, listen, she take my side over him. He always disappears. I'm constantly here. They've had a couple of fallout. She'll listen to me, but it didn't happen that way. He also tried to turn Glenn. The both of them did. But Glenn told her, if you don't like who's in my chat, fuck off. So now they're doubly wounded. Yaxley has been chosen over him. Now, Yaxley is good in the chat. The ladies love him. He does the love and the darling. He's very popular. I think that also put Lafferty's nose out of joint. I think there was a few things. And I think then Lafferty caused the fight for Amy, or might not have been at her behest, but it was because he wanted to show her how he was going to be the one to teach Yaxley a lesson over her. And I think he is no alpha male. He's an ape. He is, listen, apes can talk and communicate with sign language. They've probably got more vocabulary than he has. Sorry to say. He's just stupid. He's a dumb fuck. So what happens then is, I then start calling it, and I start laughing at their situation. Now, always my take was, you got to wait for him to go in the toilet and have a shit to text you. How romantic. That would be one such. Another one was, I'm going out to lunch, something you could never do. Meaning, because you're a side bitch. And if you look at my shorts in that period of time, I was making fun of side bitches. Go look at my side bitch videos. If you're over 30 and you're a side bitch, you're what was it? I can't remember. You're a fucking old broiler or something. I was always at it. Now, what she's done is, I did change. She then said, I talk to Laugh daily. Look, here's my call list, because she's so affected. Because she's so concerned to prove that she's not a side bitch. Fucking hell, I just say, fuck off, what do you know? But no, she shows the screenshot, and what I noticed was, all the calls were incoming. She could never call him. They were incoming. So I then changed one of my contacts to Donald Trump. And I say, look, I talk to Donald Trump every day, except for we call each other, look. And then I say about going out. And I'm going out for lunch, something you could never do. Now, that person on that thing, which was just part of a screenshot, that's his name, Jake. What do you want me to do now? Say, listen, you shouldn't have that name because somebody in America, get the fuck out of here, you stupid, drunk and desperate bitch. You're insecure. You're just a fucking low-tier troll. I would wreck you in a debate. It would be the most embarrassing thing for you, seriously. Frank's a slippery customer, but the 2 times, and Frank is a very cool customer, he's very good at it. The 2 times he's debated me, he raged quit. The one, he was putting money in front of the screen saying, look, here's all my coins. And he was trying anything because he just wanted to get the fuck out of there. But he wanted me to kick him. I would annihilate you. That's why you didn't jump on James D's chat. You are beneath me intellectually. You are beneath me on morals. You are beneath me full fucking stop. Got that? Understandy? You're low. You're trifling. I think that you were threatened by my relationship with Laugh. I think that because you and him were doing all what you were doing, trying to dox me and all of this shit, I think that to you is a good time. When you meet a lover, you often on the anniversary do the thing that you met doing. Or you have a favourite song or a favourite film that you watched or something you did, some milestone. Your milestone was arguing with me and then giggling with each other and slapping each other on the back, how witty you both thought you were. And I think that when things go a little bit stale, and maybe laugh at you was doing his real life, etc., etc., I think, yes, that's exactly where she got the Jake thing from. She's a stupid, drugged up, drunken slut. And I'll leave you with that one. We will have that debate, and it'll either be me and Yaxley and you and him, but we'd have to wait for that because I'd have to get hold of Yaxley and he'd have to be free, or we'll have one-on-one. I'll take you first, Amy, and then I'll take your fucking stupid little man with the little legs who can scratch his own ankles without bending. See you later.